Hey, and welcome to our lesson video about operations with polynomials. This lesson, we're just going to learn about classifying polynomials and also adding them. So let's start with classifying. We're going to classify as monomial, binomial, trinomial, polynomial, or a constant. And so let's just go through these examples so you can get used to it. Number one, notice you have a 2x plus a 1. Now technically, these are two terms. A plus or a minus sign separates terms. So since there are two terms, we would call this a binomial. And if you know this, the instructions just say for the letter. So we'll just stick with that. The same thing with number 2. There's one term and then another term, so there's two terms. So we consider this a binomial. So real quick, I guess let me write up here. A monomial is when you have one term. A binomial is when you have two. Oops. Let's fix that. When you have two terms. A trinomial, you have three terms. Ugh. If I could write, that would help. A polynomial has 4 or more. So I'll put 4 or up. Now a constant is just a number, okay? There are no variables, no letters, all right, if you think of that better. It's just a plain old number, like 5, all right? That's a constant. So now that we have those defined, let's look at some more. If you look at number 3, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 terms. 1, 2, 3, 4 terms, because those are all separated by plus or minus signs. So 4 or more, if you recall, was a polynomial. Now here we have a plain old number. There's no variable, there's no letter, it's just negative 130. So recall that that's a constant. I'm skipping some numbers because we did this worksheet in class, so I know I skipped 4 in case you were wondering. But let's look at this guy. We've got 1, 2, 3 terms, so we would classify him as trinomial. Now here, I've got a number 10, but I have a letter attached. I have an x cubed. So this is considered one term. There's no plus or minus dividing it up into different terms. So we call this a monomial because it's one single term. Now, we're also going to talk about putting in standard form. Standard form is highest to the lowest power. So you want to order your terms highest power to smallest. So highest power to smallest. And you should end with a constant if you have one. Okay? So if we look at example A, x cubed and then x squared. Well, you know what? This one's already in standard form. So I'm going to put an SF, meaning it's in standard form. Part B, the highest power is a 3, and it's all the way at the end. So we need to rearrange this one. 3x cubed should be first, and once I use it, I like to cross it out so I don't get confused. The next highest power would be this power of 2, so I should put plus 4x squared. Remember, you need to separate your terms with plus or minus signs. Next, I would put the 3x, and then finally, since 2 is positive, we'd write plus 2. All right, let's look at some more. Example C here, the highest power, let's see. Remember, when you don't have a power, it's understood to be a 1. So it looks like 4, 2, or 1, 4, or 2. So, you know what? 17x to the 4th. That has the highest power, so I'm going to put that one first. 2 is the next highest, so plus 2x squared. And then finally at the end, minus 3x. And example D, remember this x that doesn't have a power is a 1. So let's see, there's a constant, a power of 1, a power of 2. Power 2 is the highest, so put him first. Then followed by the 3x. And then because it's a negative 1, we're actually going to write minus 1 when we write it in standard form. All right, so how many terms does this expression have? Well, it has 1, 2, 3. It's got 4 of them. What is the coefficient of the third term? So remember, coefficient is the big number in front of the letter, if you will. So find the third term, 1, 2, 3, and what's its coefficient? Be careful. Because it's a minus sign in front, like I highlighted it, we think of that as a negative 2 for the coefficient. What is the constant in this expression? Well, it's the number that has no letter on it. So let's see, that has a letter, that has a letter. Ah, it's at the very end. That number 12 would be my constant. All right, now we're getting to the second part of our lesson for the learning target of adding polynomials. The way that they have them stacked on top of each other actually makes it really nice. We can just add vertically. So, you know, we have 14x plus 10x. All we're doing is we're combining like terms. So since these both have an x on them, we're going to add 14 and 10, and that would turn into 24x. Don't change, because when you add, just the big number in front changes. And then obviously we have 5 plus 5, so we would have a plus 10. So this here would be my, whoops, I guess I didn't have it go all the way over. That could be misleading. This here would be my answer, 24x plus 10. Let's try another one. Again, they've got it stacked for us. So we've got 10x plus 6x, that would be 16x. A positive 12 plus a positive 20, that would be 32. All right, so there we would have our answer for adding. Oh, that's the same one. Let's try another one. Here we go. Ooh, I'm adding, but these are like terms. They're both x squared, so we're still going to do the same thing. 17 plus 8, what would that be? That would be 25x squared. And then 11 plus 11, hey, that's going to be 22. I think we've got a couple more. What if they're not stacked though? This is traditionally what you'd see like on a test or maybe a college entrance exam or something. What do you do when they're not stacked so nicely like they were before? Well, we still combine like terms. So you start in this first parenthesis, and I guess I should prep you for what's coming ahead. Always focus on this sign in the middle, okay? Notice that it's a plus sign, and that makes your life a lot easier. When we combine like terms, is there another x squared that I can add with this 19? So look through the problem. Oh yeah, there's one right there. So add 9, because it's adding in the middle, add 19 and 7, and that becomes 26x squared. And once I add them, I like to cross them out so I don't mess with them anymore. Now, let's start with this 12x. Do I have another x term that I can add with this one? We'll look through my problem. Oh yeah, there's a 10x. So add 12x plus 10x to get 22x. And then I'm going to cross them out because I'm done with them. And then finally, we just have these constants to add. 12, positive 12, and positive 13 would add to 25. So there would be my answer for adding. I've got one more for you. Again, oh, let me get my highlighter. Notice in the middle, it's a plus sign. Okay, so that makes life easy for us. We can do like we just did. You might as well put your answer in standard form. So it's my habit to always just start with the highest power. So the highest power I see in the whole problem is x to the 6th. So I've got two of those terms. So I'm going to add them together. A positive 5 and a negative 9 would be a negative 4 x to the 6th when you add. And I'm going to cross them out. Is there an x cubed that I can add with this 9x cubed term? Look through my problem. Oh no, there's no more of them. So we're just going to bring that term down, plus 9x cubed. The next highest power I see is that x squared. So I'm going to do the same thing. This negative 20x squared term. Is there another x squared term to add with him? Well, no, there's not. So I'm going to have to do like I just did. Bring down minus 20x squared. So last, I have these x terms, negative 6x, negative 6x. I'm going to add them, negative 12x. Whoops, sorry, I forgot to change it back to red. So here, let's underline it. Here would be the final answer for the sum, for adding the two polynomials together. Okay, that ends our video. Use this for a review for a quiz or a test, or maybe to finish an in-class assignment. But have fun and keep learning, guys. See you next time.